Okay, we've now come to the final qualitative factors when it comes to the business model canvas, and that is your resources you'll need. So you'll need some key resources to deliver on your promise. You will then need key activities about how you're going to deliver on the promise. That's the daily activities, monthly activities you'll be doing in your business. And then finally, the key partnerships and the key partners that you will be building. Just to recap where we're at, we discussed about the customers that we will define. We discussed the value that we're going to provide. We discussed how we're going to communicate that value to the customer, and then the channels we're going to use to deliver the product to the customer. Later we went further about, if I could just recap here, we're now going to go further on the resources to enable all of that and the daily activities and actions we need. Now I always laugh when people tell me in secret, like, I'll tell you later, or I'll tell you in person on the value proposition. Say, I can't tell you now, but I got this value, I got this idea, and they're very secret about this idea. Now, yes, there is perhaps some type of, in your idea it might have some value, but it's only when you actually deliver on that value. It's only when you actually put action to your thoughts is it worth something. Because in most cases, 99% of the cases, someone has really thought of that idea somewhere in the world. Other people had maybe tested the idea. But those who succeed are the ones that actually action out that idea and turn that blueprint into something that is tangible, something that you can see. So yes, an idea to you might hold value, it might hold sentimental value, but does it hold monetary value? That is something you have to ask. And it only holds monetary value when someone else can actually benefit from it. So yes, if you look at all the previous segments of the BMC, it's all going to do with thinking in the head, strategy, planning. This is when that idea comes to life, and it comes to life through things. You have to have resources, things. Without things, you won't be able to deliver on the value that you want to create. And these things allows you to deliver. And you have to list the things that you have. If you started a business and you're 3 years in business, or you're still relatively new in business, there's obviously some form of resources that you're using, some type of assets, some type of machinery, equipment that you're using in your business to create that value. You might not necessarily own it. I get that question a lot. But hey, I don't have no assets on my balance sheet. I don't have any assets that I own. But the fact that you got access to those assets, that has to be mentioned. Because assets can either be owned, in the case of your resources, those resources can either be owned by you, that's something that you purchased, or it's something that you can access, you can rent it, or it's lent to you. In that case, it's something you may pay a monthly fee towards it. It's very important that you mention that. And you can also see how renting or owning those resources will affect your cash. It will have some financial implications if you own it or rent it, which will go in further detail when you come to our revenue and expenses and the actual financials of the business model canvas, and how this translates and affects your income statement on the one side or your balance sheet on the other. But just keep in mind, without the resources, you won't be able to deliver. That's why it's very important that you link the resources to the channels that you created. Once you link the two, you will have a business model that you'll be able to easier communicate with others, especially with your funder. If your funder understands the concept and they can agree on the channels, and they can find that actually here's a business owner that has done their homework, they've got the quotes, they understand the pricing of the resources they need, they used the thinking around whether to rent an asset, use an asset, or find a way to gain access to an asset, and owning an asset. So that's very important. What's also important of the concept of resources, which will come later when it comes to the pitch deck, is this is where you will normally come for the ask. This is where the ask normally happens. It's a typical example would be, I've got this business, I'm baking cakes, I'm catering, and I've only got 2 machines that I'm able to use at a time because that's what I can afford and that's what I've built in my business. But my business is growing fast, I'm gaining traction, more customers want to eat my food, and I can't cope with the demand because I don't have the relevant equipment. However, if I had the equipment and I had 2 ovens, I would then be able to deliver on the new clients that come my way because I've got the staff, I've got the skill, and I've got the channels to deliver. I just don't have the equipment. And if we add a quote of what the equipment will cost, and if we add another type of scenario of past experience when you actually hide those extra machines, and you can show that in financials, that is when funders, and that is when someone who's listening to you and listening to your concept can understand this is not just a concept that this person is talking, this person is talking from experience. And that is how you win. That's how you win and you allow someone to actually understand where you're coming from. And the next is the key activities. Now the key activities is the actual things you're going to do in your business. So you've got these items in your business, you've got these things, you've got these tools. Those tools don't just make something. You need some human intervention. As a society, we don't have tools yet that can automate and do everything themselves. Everything needs some form of knowledge, some form of skilled technician to use those tools. And using those tools is where your actions come in. And in this case, you'll talk about the daily tasks, your monthly tasks, the things you actually do in your day-to-day business, of how you get things done. It's a list format. And what's important about listing all the activities is it allows you to see for yourself the amount of activities you need and the amount of staff you need to perform those activities. You will notice the sales that you need to do, the customer service relationship you need to do, the after sales, the follow-ups, the making of the product. And then you will soon realize that if you're a one-man show and you've got a huge business that you're trying to build, it allows you to know where you have to employ the next person as you grow. It allows you to see where your business is going and what resources you will need additionally and the type of activities that you will be doing. It's pointless thinking you're going to stay a 3-man team if you hit or you get the big client that you were envisioning in 3 or 4 years' time. Your dynamics of your business is going to change when it comes to the resources and activities that's needed for those resources. You can't ask for 3 new ovens if you're making cakes and then still keep your team as a one-man team. It's not going to work because who's going to answer the telephone when the clients call? You can't answer the telephone and still be on a baking oven. It's not going to work. So with the key activities, it shows you put some thought into what has to be done with the items you have and the demand that you have. So the most important thing I can speak when it comes to how you do things is when you have 3 minutes to speak on your pitch. Experience has shown me that a lot of business owners know exactly what they have to do and how they do things. And when it comes to pitching, that can take a lot of your time. So my advice is to list everything that you know in your head, write it on a piece of paper, and try to narrow down everything you do into 3 or 4 short sentences. That just shows you got the technical ability, and your technical ability in a way will not be questioned, because if you're 3 years in business, or if you got the certificate and the degree that you are skilled in your vocation, the judges are not going to really question that, because that's already been accredited by some third party, some society that you belong to. So don't spend too much time on that. I know we like to speak because we're confident about what we do and how we do things. I would just like to appeal that you list everything on your business model canvas and just stick to 3 or 4 sentences, which just shows your expertise in that vocation that you're in. I tend to do the same thing because I'm very passionate about my field of accounting and business management. I also I see myself, to wake myself up and say, you know what, let's just get to the point of where we want to go and not elaborate too much and concentrate too much on the how we do things. And we come to the last part of the qualitative factors of the business model canvas. It's your key partners. Now in bold, I ask people, because I get it all the time, what is your key partners? And the first answer I get is, sir, it's your suppliers. And I smile, because yes, they are right to a certain extent, but that's the only answer I get. Suppliers. And I ask myself, key partners is more than suppliers. And the best way to explain this by way of an example. I had someone in the audience at Bergville, as I explained, was the videographer. He was a prime example. And he said, he elaborated, it was his supplier. And the supplier obviously is the people that he buys his cameras from. And then the people that he prints maybe the photos from. That was his suppliers, his 2 main suppliers. And he said that's his partners. And I said, you know, anyone can be those people's partner, because if you buy a camera from them or you buy print material from them, then you're a partner. But what differentiates you from the next person that is supplied to? And I explained to him, it's a negotiation that he has between himself of what he wants from the supplier and what the supplier wants from him. That's the difference. And that negotiation is key, because that shows if you're just one of the people, one of the numbers that they're supplying items to, or a key strategic partner that you have with them. And by way of example, I gave him, I said, just think, if you have a wedding and you're having 4 weddings a month, and you are making video content and you're printing the material for the newlyweds, and you got the bride's groom and you got all the family members there, what will it stop you from negotiating from the printing house or from the people that you're getting the material from to print those prints, those papers, whether it's a store or a local stationery shop? What will stop you from getting a voucher from them and saying, you know what, I would add a 10% voucher when I deliver this product to my client, and with that you are exposing them to additional business. And if you did that, you are gaining more reach for that supply of yours. Perhaps you could then negotiate a better rate with your printing. Or if you have a camera and you're using a certain type of brand, what will stop you from negotiating with the brand to test the camera, to give feedback on that camera, and that way enabling you to gain a resource you might not be able to actually afford maybe, but you're getting the latest camera which might not have been tested, and you get to test that camera, use the latest technology at a price which you otherwise would not be able to afford. Now that is building key relationships and key partners, and that is done through negotiation. And the benefits, you should always try, when it comes to negotiating, show the benefits, show the mutual benefits of how you benefit. Say, yes, I will benefit because I'm saving money, but this is how you will benefit. So again, you're almost adding value, you're selling value, not to a customer this time, but to a supplier. And by doing just a small type of simple negotiations, you can take yourself above the competitors that's in your industry. It will require, yes, some form of grooming, some form of getting to know your suppliers, some type of additional communication, which otherwise not just the normal application form. But in the end, and in the long run, it'll be well worth it. In the next video, we will talk about, and we go more in depth on the quantitative factors of the business model canvas. that makes the end of the qualitative factors. And just to give an overview of where we're at on the pitching and where we're at in this program that we're trying to build online, is we've built the material. So you're welcome to go back to any of the material that you might have missed or you need to elaborate on, or you could ask in the comment section something that does not sound well, or you're not getting grasping the concept, or something that might not have been clear. I will definitely write a reply, whether it's something personal or a comment in the public forum, or if I have to elaborate on a video, I don't mind doing that either. But what will come next is the quantitative factors of how we take all the items that we have and how we produce that into a set of financials and management accounts, whether it's actuals or forecasts, which we'll get more into the technical detail later, and then translating all of that and packaging it into a 3-minute speech that we could actually present to someone, like a funder or an equity partner or a business partner or a bank, or just giving an idea to a client or someone else we might need to want a relationship with. Any stakeholder your business is trying to build a relationship with. I thank you.